Hi, welcome to the Pink Chair Chats. Today I've got Estelle. Now, Estelle has a very interesting background and is just a remarkable woman in Townsville. Really looking forward to sharing her story. So welcome, Estelle.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So where did we meet? I can't remember where we met. Was it
I think at one of the
Support Townsville?
Yeah, like one of the ladies in business.
Or Ladies in Business.
Oh, no, Support Townsville actually. And then we saw each other again at the Ladies in Business.
Yeah. So lots of women's networking happening in Townsville. But you're embarking on a few projects that are very, very interesting for Townsville as a whole, not just Townsville women. And supporting some charities that are very dear to your heart. So let's start with the first. Well, actually, let's start with who are you?
Well, I'm a singer and a songwriter and a visual artist. I finished my uni degree studying art at James Cook University, and I taught in schools, and I've had my own singing school and things like that. And had a family of 3 children, and I got to this point in my life where I've always had this dream to be a singer and an artist, and I just felt like, well, if I don't do it now, it's never. So I've really, for the past 2 or 3 years, just been pursuing that dream, I suppose. And I also have a dream and a passion for women's transformation and for healing.
So Estelle, tell me about the Warrior Project.
Well, it started in 2020, all around COVID and everything, and I committed to doing a song, an art piece and a video clip each month, and I released it at an event to bring attention to an issue affecting women. What
sort of events would you launch them?
So similar to like the women's type of networking events, but it would often involve food and music, and I'd try and bring in whatever theme.
A celebration.
Yeah, it was very celebratory. I'd dress up crazy sometimes, or we'd have a fashion show. Or
I love your feathers.
Thank you.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, we had a fashion show once, and we had like a really a multicultural, international type of focus for one, and another one was for Refugee Day. So we had some refugees come and share with us with their experiences, and had lots of multicultural people performing, and so it was really wonderful what we were able to do. Then I would collaborate with other women who were already doing events. That's how I met Teresa Hope. She was doing a DV fundraiser, and I performed and presented my art piece at her event.
And I'm very excited about that too, because I had a little listen to a song you have recently written, and it's beautiful.
Yes.
And I guess what's taken you on this journey? Why are you sitting here talking to me about these, amazing projects you're undertaking at the moment?
I think because I realised the power of the arts in my own healing journey, and I had shoved that away thinking it wasn't valuable and I didn't have something worth offering, because doing art and music often feels like you're being very self-focused, and it seems like a very indulgent activity, especially as a mother. So I never allowed myself that space. But I suppose I got to a breaking point personally, and it's just something that became essential for me to actually process my own trauma and work through, and it gave me the ability to speak up and tell my truths, and only art can do that in some ways. So I want to share that.
Art therapy is a big thing.
Yeah.
It's actually a recognised form of therapy for young children, and now being recognised at lots of levels. So you you're working at the moment on another event that's coming up, which will actually happen in October when this is all released, actually. But I think the tickets are sold out. So
not yet.
Almost
they will be.
They probably will be by the time this goes to print. But tell me a little bit about who you're bringing to town, why you're doing it.
Okay. So what happened is the Warrior Project led me to meet amazing women like Teresa Hope. Another lady is Verena Combs. She was doing an arts event that I met her at. We started what is now called Project Speak Up. And that kind of came together with bringing another lady on board, Rebecca Butel. She kind of brought us all together, and she's like the admin type person, so we were kind of flailing around until she came on. But I went to Verena at her art event, and I said to her that I had this dream of painting Grace Tame for the Archibald Prize or whatever, and I said, the thing is I need to see her in person to be able to do so. And so she was like, well, just see if you can get her up. And so that's where it all began. And
so just to explain to some people who don't know who Grace Tame is, just a very little brief profile on who Grace is, maybe.
So I first saw Grace when she was receiving her Australian of the Year award, and she made her speech, and I was just in tears. And this is a little quote that she said that I'd love to share, because this was the catalyst for everything for me.
Absolutely.
And she was saying, hear me now, using my voice amongst a growing chorus of voices that will not be silenced. And I had just written a song called Warrior, which is about my own story of no longer being silent. And I was like, this girl has to be in my life some way or another. Yeah. And so this is where it's led us, and it's just been a really amazing journey. Great.
So she's coming up.
Yes.
What is she doing up here? So she's not just coming up to have a little chat like this, is she? She's
we've got an event happening at the Ville where she's the keynote speaker for, and this is the first event for Project Speak Up.
What's the event called?
It's a lunch with Grace Tame, and Project Speak Up has been formed to bring awareness to domestic violence and these issues in Townsville, but we want to have a very preventative and proactive focus with it.
So tell me about, what are the charities that you're actually supporting with this event? Because I was really impressed when I heard who they were and their approach, because it's not what we're used to. We tend to sit on one side of the fence and look at that fixing a problem rather than how do we prevent a problem. So maybe just the first, who's the first charity that
so NQDVRS is our first.
Sorry, who was that?
NQDVRS. So North Queensland, North Queensland Domestic Violence Resource Centre. So they have an amazing program.
Who runs that? Is that a separate not-for-profit that just?
Yeah, you're asking me details that I don't exactly know.
That's okay.
So they are, I'm sure they're non-for-profit, but they the CEO is Verity, who. Yeah, she's an amazing woman and doing amazing things there. And we want to raise funds for their mentor program. So this is where...
so that's men, M-E-N, in capital letters.
Tor, yeah.
So the idea is working with men?
Yeah, so working with domestic violence offenders to help them, I suppose, retrain their behaviours. So that's really, I think, a very essential thing. And I feel like sometimes we can just be like, they're the problem, but there's no solutions given to them, and they're just they don't want to be in that situation just as much as anyone. So I think it's really positive to have that.
And second one?
Yes.
So there's three, right?
Yes. Second one is Sexually Healthy Cities, and they are doing amazing things in creating a space for people to discover positive sexual relationships. And to do this in a really proactive and preventative way. And this is very research-based, where when especially men are educated on the more nuances of a woman's physical anatomy and things like that, they're less likely to be abusive.
And that's a teenage program, isn't it?
No, it's everyone.
Oh, it's for everyone?
Yeah, it's everyone. The teenage program is the next one, which is Curtis Raymond's It's a Man's Issue.
Yeah.
And he goes around to schools and sporting clubs and things like that. And he's just a wonderful example of a man, like, who's just in this space has overcome, his cultural influences of being in footy, being in all these, kind of toxic masculinity type affected.
Just on that, I mean, I think we could fairly say that a lot of the football clubs of every code and a lot of sporting clubs have readdressed
Absolutely.
a lot of this, and there's been work done in this space for a long time. But I guess the thing about some of these newer organisations that are coming up in support of that is that they do come up with new evidence-based theories or not theories, practical solutions. And it's actually great that Townsville actually has so many based here, who are working actively in the community.
Well, they're just new, except for NQDVRS, they're very established, but Sexually Healthy Cities and It's a Man's Issue, we really wanted to help get them on their way, kind of thing. And just bring awareness to what they're doing, and Curtis is really relatable, and he has a way with that kind of age group that really speaks to them and really makes them question their language, their beliefs, their attitudes.
Well, I mean, and it's interesting with men, but even with women, right? Like I don't think I'm that old. I'm older than a lot of people, but younger than a lot. And you look back to the sort of 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and what was considered acceptable behaviour, and probably even more recently, what was considered acceptable that women and men just put up with it. But now we can actually say no more. You know, that's not okay, that's not respectful, that's not, you know.
And that's the power of education. So for Project Speak Up, our motto is educate, empower, elevate. So I feel like through this Grace Tame event, for example, Grace is a great catalyst for a conversation. She's an elevating personality and she's very educational, but our focus personally is to bring attention to that through her platform, and then use that influence to then use, with the local
solutions.
Because we need something that just goes further than just a one-off event. And
I guess that's what I was alluding to over the years. So over the years, there's been little bits done, little bits done, little bits done. Grace has become quite polarising. Sadly, I call it polarising but the messaging and the opportunity to make a change, a really positive change in society, is there because somebody like Grace came forward. You know? And I guess,
and that's what we want to focus on as well, because we started this process as soon as she was Australian of the Year, and we didn't know what was going to unfold, but.
And it hasn't been an easy journey.
No, that's right. And lots of empathy for what's happened as well, and we've been really educated too through sharing this journey with her people, and the thing is that as someone who's a survivor, you see someone like that standing on a public stage and immediately the stigma and shame is taken away. And I think that that's the power of Grace Tame and Brittany Higgins and people like this who are so boldly and bravely standing up and speaking up. So we want to kind of support that, at a more grassroots level and in community where women feel supported, especially to be open and honest and remove the stigma.
Yeah, and at the same time, in the community, helping people to understand what respect means, and what young men and older men, through the groups that you're supporting with this event, to understand, and not just, I know they are two groups predominantly focusing on men, but it goes with women as well, so not as prevalent with the other way around, but it's there. And I think it's just one of those things that people haven't talked about for a very long time, and they're afraid to talk about it. We're even afraid to say we're having a bad day.
That's right.
So having conversations, and I know in this town too, just even that idea of men coming together to talk is tricky, trying to get men to come together and actually have a conversation is hard, and And it's not a hate thing against men.
No, exactly.
It's like how do we make everybody better?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, like how can we have healthier relationships? How can we have a healthier community?
Sorry, I was just going to say that's why I wanted to focus on women, because I feel that as we heal, we generate an atmosphere of healing around us, and we make the men in our lives their lives better by our healing, and we invite them to take the same process with us. So I feel like women's healing is a really central catalyst to a communal healing. So yeah,
it's a very feminine, I guess, energy, ideology, or practice that's there. And not saying that men aren't nurturing, but I think in our Western culture, what we've done is removed men from a lot of the education they would have otherwise had through intergenerational gatherings of men, you know, where they get to teach each other and help each other. And women are often catalysts in our Western families, you know, where we get to determine, you know, what homes we buy, what, you know, what happens, and even that movement towards, you know, better communication and understanding. Now, I listened to that little snippet of your song that you sent me. You won't let me make you sing a cappella here, so they don't get to see it. But we should have a video clip for people to be able to download with the story when they see it, and also an image of the beautiful portrait you've painted.
Oh yes.
Now, what's happening with that? How do people actually, how can they bid on this beautiful painting?
So I've done a portrait of Grace Tame, and it's called Grace Untamed, Let Her Speak. And when you see it, all makes sense, because like she's on fire. And this is part of my Tongues of Fire series, where I want to bring attention to women who are speaking up. And the song that I'm releasing is called We Are the Ones, Tongues of Fire. And so for Grace's painting, we're auctioning it on the day of the event. And if you're not able to be there and you'd like to bid on this painting, you can do so through going to the link that I'll provide for you.
Yep, so we'll have a QR code on the page, everybody, so you can actually link to it to actually bid on it. So, and the song and the video clip will be released on the 7th of October. Fabulous. Yeah. That's brilliant. And just to sum it up a little bit, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? You want to be able to speak out. I know it was a very difficult journey for you, even to get to where you are today, where you speak about it
without becoming a mess and bawling my eyes out.
Well, we're allowed to cry, right?
Yeah, well, I had to get out a lot of tears to get to this point where I can now just share that and be in a space of healing and strength, and but it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been given the opportunity to speak my truth. And the big catalyst for me too was I read an article where someone said if someone came and stole your bike the night before, you'd be telling the whole world. You know, there's no shame in that. But you know, as victims of that, you take on the responsibility, and it lives in your body. So that, I think, is the difference, and that's what I want to undo for people, so that there isn't that shame that you're living by, because it actually dominates everything.
It stops the self-love coming in, doesn't it?
Yeah, it totally does.
And I think it's pretty well evidenced that when there's no self-love, you tend to have self-destructive behaviours in many ways in relationships. It's just I can't imagine it. It's a beautiful thing that you're doing, you know?
So I just want to keep moving forward. I want to release this song and just keep doing it. Just keep moving forward. And
music's powerful, right?
It is,
so it's a very, very powerful tool. How many of us listen to music when we're feeling sad or happy or, you know, it helps us to heal. And I think that's the beautiful thing I love about your story, using the arts, you know, every form of medium pretty well to help express what you've been through in your healing process, which is very powerful for other people to see and hear.
Thank you so much.
Look, thank you, Estelle, for coming along today.
My pleasure.
Really value it. We should be able to add, or you'll be able to access some of the clip, Estelle's clip, and the code and the link to be able to actually bid on the Grace Untamed portrait for the event on the 7th of October. So thank you again. Really appreciate it. Pop in, say hi to Estelle. If you need some help, we'll make sure there are some links there too for people to find you guys, so that they know where to go, because that can be a big part of it as well. And back to those charities as well that we mentioned, who are doing some great work. Thanks so much.
Our pleasure.